I was just struck by this, it had steel guitar on it as well, lap steel.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you call it, but steel guitar.
Just plain steel guitar, yeah.
Called. But anyway,
yeah.
I was struck by the steel guitar on this track. I just thought it was brilliant, and I found out it was by this guy, Rob. But Rob was not only the steel guitar player, he was also playing all the guitars on this track, and he was also the engineer. So I just thought, wow, this guy's brilliant. And I thought perfect for Ditka would be a similar backing. Mm-hmm. So I sent him the acoustic and voice, and lo and behold, he put the whole band on this track in Nashville. When I got it back, I was just over the moon. I mean, he put violins on it, country violins, and steel guitar, acoustic guitar, electric guitars. I had to mix it, and I also did some backing vocals. That's my wife singing the backing vocals. And it just turned out brilliantly, really. And the main thing is that she was very happy with it, because you never know, when you take someone's song
of course.
and you kind of produce it and they're not even involved, really, that... And actually, she didn't quite see it as a country. She didn't see it as quite that country, but she was very happy with it. And it's being released. It's not released yet. It should be released, I think, on Thursday or sometime this week, maybe early next week. So, and she's a very lovely girl, and she's quite well known in her own country, normally singing in Romanian.
Right.
But I think the thing with her is that. I wouldn't be able to tell she was Romanian. I mean, she sounds like an American country singer. It's kind of unusual, really, because usually you get some sort of hint of an accent, which can often ruin a record.
Really, and I was really surprised when I first listened to it. I had to go back and check my notes. Are you sure he said Romania? I mean,
are you sure he said Romania?
Really?
Never even heard of that place.
Well, actually, I've heard of it, but we've never had music on by a Romanian artist, and
no.
This is really a great track. And what a wonderful job you all have done putting it all together.
Yeah.
And I'm not surprised that she liked it. You also mentioned another soft spot in my heart. I've had a love affair with steel guitars since I was a little kid. Never had the opportunity to learn to play one, and that's one of the big regrets in my life.
You're probably lucky there, because we had a steel player who actually played on a lot of Elton John songs, and he was also in a band that I was managing with Kiki D, the singer, and he's probably one of the top steel players in the UK. But he toured with us, and that instrument is like no other, really. It's not even, it's got strings on it, so you can see it's an instrument, but otherwise it's got pedals and gears, and it's incredibly complicated.
One of the first and original electric instruments. In that respect, it was years ahead of its time. John Blangero, I know you want to get in here and say hello.
Yeah, well, Stuart, first of all, welcome back. It is great to have you back on the show again.
Yeah, hi.
But I want to back up just a little bit to the young lady herself, Ditka. As I was listening to the music, and it was the first time I've heard it, because I don't get to hear the stuff until we play it on air. And the thing that really stepped out to me and made its presence known is there's such a sweetness and pureness to her voice that I don't think I've heard in any. I think that the last time I may have heard a voice that was as pure as that was probably Tammy Wynette, and and that goes back a way. As a former programmer, I could see two formats that this is going to go on, and I don't know if you had this phenomenon over in the UK, but here there's a format called New Country, and I can see putting it on a new country formatted station, but I could also see it crossing over to a soft adult contemporary station as well, and being strong in both genres. So
that would be very nice.
Sir, you did a nice job with it. You really did.
And you must give me a recording of this interview, because I got to get it to Ditka, because she won't have. She'll be very pleased to hear your comments, I'm sure. This is the first time she's had a release in the UK or the USA, so it's a really new and a big step for her, really.
Sure.
Maybe even singing in English. I don't think she's sung in English that much, and you're absolutely, that's what struck me as well, the beautiful purity in her voice, and it also struck the musician, Robbie, as I was telling you. He just fell in love with it. He just said, we're doing this, I love it.
I used to, years ago, I worked for, when I was in Tampa at WSUN Radio, and I worked for a program director named Art Wander, a little name dropping there, but his idea of programming was to do texture programming, and essentially it didn't necessarily matter that the artist may not be well known, but did it fit the concept of what we were trying to do? And I think because Ditka is not well known, she could become well known if it is introduced to one of these radio stations, and I think it could work very well. I mean, as an example, we were one of the first country stations in the United States to play Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young Teach Your Children. It definitely has a country feel, but it was a bunch of a bunch of hippie drug rockers, which
that's true. It was a country
against
song,
everything the country stood for back then, but it worked.
Yeah, there was a lot of country influence in CSNY. Stuart, we are so happy to have you here with us for a number of reasons, not the least of which is that you are announcing a new endeavor on top of all the other things that you are either doing or have done in the past. You have something new to announce.
Well, that's right. Yeah, I formed this new label called the Epps Records. I did release a track actually with an American girl about a year ago, but I don't know. It didn't. It was a great track, but anyway, since then I've now signed this young lad. That was the main thing, really, that this young lad Liam came along, Liam Price, and I just thought, I definitely want to produce this, but I'm really excited to release it as well. So I sort of resurfaced the Epps label, and now I'm really going to town to promote not just Liam but also the label. And now we've got Ditka on it as well. And in fact, which I'd love you to play when it's finished. But I'm also working. I haven't really told you with a young guy. Well, he's in his mid-30s, but it's very, very exciting because his surname happens to be Donegan, and I don't know if you know. He had a fairly famous father who was called Lonnie Donegan.
Lonnie Donegan, yes, I remember it well.
Yeah, that's right. So, and his son Pete is a great country. He's a country again. And he's done a really great song that I've produced that we've done together. In fact, it's funny because that's got Steele on it as well, but it was an English guy. And hopefully that will be coming out on the Epps label as well. So it's quite exciting. Got some great product coming out.
Awesome. Yeah, I remember Lonnie Donegan, the king of skiffle, which was virtually unknown here.
Absolutely.
Virtually unknown here in the country, in the States back then.
Didn't he do a lot of things with Van Morrison?
Yes, he did. And Pete is very friendly still with Van, because Van was a big fan of his dad's. But actually, that's the thing with Lonnie Donegan, is that there were so many artists from the 60s and 70s that they were such big fans of Lonnie Donegan that they were very happy to know him. You're talking about Eric Clapton, Jimmy Page, all the greats really, that they learned so much from this guy because it was a different style, skiffle, and it was really skiffle that developed into a lot of rock music when it got heavy, it became more heavy. But he was so passionate, Lonnie, and he was always on the TV in the UK. Yeah, he was a great sort of star, really. So his son is emulating him, really, and his son's a great guy. In fact, it came because I was doing a competition with a music platform, and I was going through all these tracks, and suddenly this Pete Donegan comes up, and I'd heard about him, and I always wanted to work with him. I was very happy to make him the winner of the show, and the prize was for me to produce him, so I was very happy.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Yeah, I remember Rock Island Line was the first place I heard.
That's it.
Lonnie Donegan. It was kind of funny because we looked at that as an American, what we would now call Americana. It was a very American song.
That's it.
And here is this Britisher doing an American song in a new style of British music that we had never heard before. It was crazy. We really took notice of it. It's one of those things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sounds like you've got a heck of a solid base for your label now.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
What do you got in mind for the future of this?
Well, these things are for the future, really. So there's other tracks, there's other artists that I'm working with, which are completely unknown, and we'll just see. I mean, this is enough for me to start with because Liam, we've already got one single out, and now it's a bit of a crazy thing, but we're putting this Christmas record out, which is a bit crazy, following so quickly on to the last one. But it's just there, and I just thought we've got to do it, so we're going to put it out. And then with Ditka coming out almost the same time. I mean, actually on the label as well is a talking book CD that I've made, which is my early years with Elton John. So that's coming out on the label as well. I mean, everyone's been, I've heard about Instagram for years, really, I suppose, and then people are talking about TikTok, which I've tried to avoid. I mean, I've tried to pretend it'll go away, that I don't have to.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
That it's something I definitely don't need to get involved with. But, of course, I have to. So I was going to employ someone, and that I couldn't. I know it didn't seem to work out. So I've just been doing it myself, getting involved in Instagram and TikTok. And if it wouldn't be for the label, I wouldn't do it. But obviously, it's fun to sort of promote a record label. You can say all sorts of things. I can show people around the studio and film people in the studio. And you've got this it is a great platform, really, both TikTok and, I mean, there are some weird stuff on it that you have to try and
that's a fact.
sort of avoid looking at, which is not easy. But they're good platforms, and I'm kind of enjoying all that. I've got a couple of thousand fans on Instagram and, 1,000 or whatever on TikTok, and it's fun to be able to connect with people that easily, really. They're human beings. They're people somewhere or other that you don't have to go through a record company or whatever. So, yeah, I'm enjoying it.
We made a jump to Instagram. We haven't touched on TikTok yet. And as you mentioned, or as you alluded to, we might want to hire somebody to do it for us.
To be honest, it's a piece of cake. I mean, all you do is you point the phone at something, the camera, and press the red button, and whatever you're pointing at is now being recorded, like you would when you're doing a home video, and then you can put music to it. They're very quick, because on TikTok, I actually did. I was doing a talk about when I worked with Jimmy Page and John Bonham, and we were doing this Bonham track, and I sort of used it in the. I used it while I was filming, and as soon as I tried to put it on TikTok, they got rid of the music, because they said, you're not licensed to do this, that, and the other.
Yeah, I know.
What was amazing, though, they even managed to erase the music and leave my voice, which I thought, well, that's clever, well done. So, it's not really difficult. And then if it's something you don't like, you can always erase it again. I mean, to be honest, guys, then you get these people writing to you to tell you that they can, if you pay them, hundreds of dollars, they can get you thousands of fans immediately.
Yeah, we're flooded with those.
And that really is a load of old rubbish.
Absolutely.
Somehow they're faking the numbers, because they're not real people. There's not people suddenly clicking on all these. It's just a complete scam. So you've got to avoid that anyway.
I love it when I get them, because I know immediately that these are amateurs who don't know what the heck they're doing, or they wouldn't be contacting me, because I'm not a recording artist, and they're trying to hype me on this trash, but it goes with the territory. Now it sounds like you've got something really going there, and I am personally looking forward to hearing some of the stuff you got coming up, keeping in touch with you, so that we know, so we get to hear these new artists. I love that.
That would be
one
brilliant.
of the things I love the most about what we do. And before we let you go, we have another one of your productions here with the gentleman you mentioned, Liam Price. Tell us about Liam Price and his Christmas song.
Well, Liam, prior to the Christmas song, his mother got in touch with me via my website, and she was looking for a producer. I heard a couple of tracks, and what immediately struck me was his voice. I mean, I just thought, wow, this is great. I love this sort of voice. It reminds me a bit of Michael Jackson, Craig David, even a bit of Stevie Wonder. But then, she says that this guy's 15. So I'm thinking, well, that's very, very young these days to hear someone with this quality voice. So I was very interested. And then I listened to one particular song quite a lot, which was called Disappear. Then he came in the studio, and that sealed the deal, really, when he came in the studio. He's an absolutely lovely lad, absolute pleasure to be with anyway. But when he when he got him, well, first of all, he put a bit of keyboard down. He's not the greatest, could play the song fine, and he had a good feel. In fact, when he was sitting at this piano where I'm sitting now, there were sort of reminiscences of